The observation post hung silently in the void, a speck of advanced engineering disguised as just another piece of cosmic dust. Inside, Commander Zorp and his small crew monitored the vibrant blue and green planet below. They were from the Galaxian Federation, a group of many alien races who had figured out how to travel the stars a long, long time ago. Their job was simple: watch new planets, see if anyone intelligent lived there, and figure out if they were a danger or maybe a friend. This planet, designated Earth by the automated scanners, had recently started doing something interesting. Energy signals, unlike anything they'd seen from less developed worlds, were popping up. Not powerful warlike signals yet, but signals of minds connecting, sharing information vast distances in mere moments. It was the first sign that the dominant life form, called humans, might be getting close to joining the galactic neighborhood. Commander Zorp was a being of quiet contemplation, his multiple eyes observing the data streams flowing across the main screen. Lieutenant Vreek, his science officer, a creature whose skin changed color with his moods, chirped excitedly from his station. "Commander, their data networks are incredibly dense. They communicate using complex patterns of sound and symbols, and their creativity, their ability to build detailed imaginary worlds for entertainment, is quite high for a Class 3 civilization." Zorp nodded slowly. "Indeed, Lieutenant. They seem to have a knack for abstract thought. Observe their city structures, intricate, though somewhat chaotic. Their energy production methods are inefficient by our standards, relying heavily on burning ancient carbon stores. But they are learning." On the screen, images of bustling cities, complex road systems, and strange flying metal birds, airplanes, flashed by. The Galaxians had seen societies like this before, species on the cusp of true spaceflight. They were intelligent, builders, problem solvers, standard stuff. Security Officer Plorf, a large, quiet being whose species communicated mostly through low rumbles, finally spoke, his voice a deep vibration that seemed to shake the small room. "Their physical forms appear fragile, Commander. Soft outer layers, exposed weak points. Yet they survive on a world with significant gravitational pull and unpredictable weather patterns. Resilient, perhaps, despite appearances." Vreek chimed in again. "And diverse. They have a wide range of physical appearances and apparently many different large groupings based on geography and history, which they call nations. They even have different ways they like to eat food." Ah, food. The Galaxians had analyzed human food production. Vast farms, complicated processing plants, even ways to grow food indoors. All understandable. Survival required energy, and these humans clearly put a lot of effort into getting it. They expected to see efficient nutrient synthesis, maybe simple, easy-to-digest blocks or liquids that provided everything needed, like most intelligent species they had encountered. But as Vreek zoomed in on images of individual humans consuming their meals, the first signs of true confusion began to ripple through the observation deck. Lieutenant Vreek manipulated the controls, bringing a specific scene into sharper focus on the main screen. A small group of humans sat around a flat surface, placing various items into their mouths. Most of it looked like typical cooked food, soft, changed by heat. But then Vreek zoomed in closer on one human's plate. "Commander, observe this!" Vreek chirped, a note of confusion in his voice. Commander Zorp adjusted his optical sensors, focusing on the image. He saw thin, green, leafy structures, brightly colored, firm-looking spheres and cubes, long, slender orange pieces. None of it appeared to have been processed by heat or chemical breakdown. It looked raw. "What is that?" Zorp rumbled, his voice losing its usual calm tone. "Are they decorating their nutrient blocks?" Plorf leaned closer, his deep visual receptors analyzing the image. "Negative, Commander. They are consuming it. ingesting the raw biological material directly. Vreek pulled up data streams related to human diet. My sensors confirm. They call this salad, and they also consume fruits and raw vegetables, uncooked plant matter, directly. Vreek's skin shifted from a calm blue to a startled yellow. But why? How? In the Galaxian Federation, and indeed in most known parts of the galaxy, where intelligent life thrived on planets, consuming raw biological material from an undeveloped world was unheard of, even dangerous. Most plant life required complex processing to remove toxins, break down tough fibers, or simply make nutrients available in a way a sophisticated digestive system could handle efficiently. Lower life forms might graze, but intelligent beings, never. Is it a survival behavior? Zorp mused aloud. Perhaps they are starving. Resource depletion? Vreek quickly checked other data. Negative, Commander. Their food production is vast. They appear to have a surplus. This salad seems to be a choice. They prepare it intentionally. Sometimes they even add coverings they call dressing to it, which preliminary analysis suggests are complex mixtures of oils and acids that should cause discomfort. His yellow skin flickered with disbelief. Ploruf added his deep rumble. My biological database indicates that many forms of raw plant life on this planet contain compounds that should be difficult, if not impossible, for a relatively soft-bodied species like humans to digest efficiently. Some should cause significant internal distress, yet these humans appear unharmed. The screen showed more images, humans biting into shiny red spheres, apples, peeling and eating yellow curved items, bananas, crunching on orange cylinders, carrots. They did it casually, sometimes even seeming to enjoy it. The observation deck fell silent for a moment. The only sound, Vreek's occasional bewildered chirp as he scrolled through more data on human dietary habits. Their advanced understanding of biology, chemistry, and nutrition, built on knowledge from thousands of species across countless worlds, offered no logical explanation. Humans could build cities and send signals into space, but they also willingly ate. Grass clippings and crunchy dirt pulls? It didn't compute. This wasn't just inefficient. From a galactic perspective, it seemed utterly bizarre and potentially self-destructive. And they did it with smiles on their faces. Commander Zorp tapped a multi-jointed finger on his console. Lieutenant Vreek, I want a full biological analysis of the human digestive system based on our scans. Compare it to known species. Also, gather samples of this salad and fruit using the remote collectors. We need to analyze their chemical makeup. Right away, Commander, Vreek chirped, his color-changing skin now a determined shade of green. He started typing rapidly on his own console, sending out commands to the ship's automated systems. Tiny, nearly invisible probes were dispatched from the observation post, silently descending through Earth's atmosphere to collect microscopic samples of discarded food and atmospheric particles near human eating areas. Hours passed in focused work. The hum of the ship's processors filled the quiet observation deck. Data poured in. Vreek finally looked up, his green skin now showing flecks of puzzled purple. Commander, the human digestive system is peculiar. It's relatively simple compared to many advanced species. No multi-stage stomach like the Glarthaxians, no hyperacidic breakdown like the krill. It's a fairly straightforward tube with some chemical baths and helpful tiny organisms they call gut flora. Plorf rumbled. Simple structure, not built for processing tough raw fibers or neutralizing potential plant defenses. Exactly, Vreek confirmed. Yet, the analysis of the plant samples shows typical planetary plant structures. Cellulose walls, various complex organic compounds, and yes, trace amounts of natural toxins that in higher concentrations would cause significant distress to most known biologies at this technological level. Even the gut flora doesn't seem unique enough to explain it entirely. Zorp felt a prickle of unease. Their science was the most advanced in the galaxy. They could analyze the energy output of a dying star or predict the weather patterns on a gas giant years in advance. But they couldn't explain how a human could eat a raw spinach leaf without issue. Perhaps it's a cultural adaptation, Zorp suggested. A long, slow process of building tolerance over generations? Vreek checked the historical data they had gathered. Their historical records show this behavior has existed for millennia, even before their technology was advanced. But there's no biological evidence of a unique evolutionary pathway that would grant them this specific tolerance. Their basic genetic code for digestion is standard class 3 mammalian. So, their bodies should react poorly, Ploroff rumbled, his voice a low question. By all logical and biological understanding, yes. Vreek's skin flashed bright yellow again in frustration. At best, they should get minimal nutrition and significant discomfort. At worst, severe internal problems. Yet, they don't just tolerate it. They appear to thrive on diets that include large amounts of this raw material. Their health data shows they even believe it's good for them, calling it healthy. This simple, everyday human act was starting to feel less like a curiosity and more like an anomaly. It broke rules their science understood. It was like watching a rock decide to float or water run uphill consistently. It shouldn't happen. But it clearly was happening, billions of times a day, all over the planet. Commander Zorp felt a strange sensation, one that didn't happen often, intellectual frustration. His species, the Glaxians, prided themselves on understanding. They mapped the cosmos, deciphered the laws of physics, and categorized countless forms of life. Yet, a simple human eating a piece of raw plant was proving to be a greater mystery than dark matter. Perhaps it is purely psychological, Zorp suggested, more to himself than his crew. A form of ritualistic behavior, where the belief in its benefit somehow overrides the physical reaction. Vreek, now a worried shade of grey-purple, shook his head. Commander, we have scanned their brain activity during these acts of eating salad. While there are signals related to pleasure and satisfaction, there's no indication of a mental override powerful enough to suppress a standard biological rejection response to ingesting difficult-to-digest or mildly toxic material. Their brains aren't performing some kind of mental trick. Their bodies genuinely seem able to process it. Plorf rumbled low in his chest. Their resilience? Is it simply tougher than predicted? But to this degree, Vreek countered. To gain nourishment, and even benefit from something that should, at best, pass through them uselessly, and at worst, cause internal distress. It defies the basic principles of efficient biological survival we see in intelligent species. Why waste energy processing something so difficult when they have access to easily digestible, cooked or processed foods? They watched more footage. Humans happily chewing on raw celery, dipping raw broccoli into creamy sauces, adding raw onions to cooked meals. It wasn't a rare event. It was woven into the fabric of their daily lives, from quick midday meals to large social gatherings. It's not logical, Zorp stated, the frustration clear in his multi-toned voice. An intelligent species develops efficient methods for survival. Cooking is an efficient method. Processing is an efficient method. Consuming raw, difficult-to-digest material when easier options exist is not. They considered other possibilities. Was it a subtle form of planetary adaptation they hadn't detected? A unique atmospheric interaction? A hidden genetic trait that only activated under certain conditions? They ran simulations, cross-referenced databases, even consulted theoretical models that explored extreme biological outliers. Nothing fit. The simple act of eating raw plants remained stubbornly outside their comprehensive understanding of life, the universe, and everything. Humans, the species building rockets and debating philosophy, were doing something biologically baffling on a massive scale, and seemed completely unaware of how strange it was. This wasn't about their advanced technology or complex societies anymore. This was about something fundamental, something primal, that made humans utterly, inexplicably weird from a galactic perspective. If they couldn't understand something as basic as how humans ate a leaf, how could they ever hope to truly understand humans? The observation post felt heavier now, filled not just with the hum of machines, but with the weight of the unknown. Commander Zorp looked at the data again. Detailed scans of human stomachs, chemical breakdowns of plant fibers, genetic sequencing that showed nothing out of the ordinary, and pictures of humans, laughing, sharing, and casually munching on bright green leaves. "How do we report this?" Zorp asked the room, the question hanging in the air. "We document their technological progress, their social structures, their potential threat level. But how do we explain that one of their most common, everyday behaviors is something our combined galactic knowledge says should be impossible or harmful?" Lieutenant Vreek's skin was a calm, thoughtful blue again, but his voice held a note of awe. "Commander, we must report it exactly as it is, an anomaly, a fundamental aspect of human biology and culture that defies our current understanding." "An anomaly," Ploraff rumbled, his deep voice serious. "A species that can build fusion reactors, send probes to other planets, create complex art and music, and yet they willingly consume raw plant matter that should cause them distress. It suggests a resilience, or perhaps an ignorance, we did not predict." "Ignorance?" Vreek considered. "They seem to believe it is beneficial. Their medical data shows positive health outcomes linked to these diets. But why it works is the mystery. It's like watching a species discover fire and then also discover they can live inside a volcano." This wasn't just about food anymore. It was about a gap in the galactic understanding of what intelligent life could be. Every other spacefaring species they knew had a logical, efficient relationship with survival. Humans had this. They endured discomfort, like eating tough fibers, risked exposure to minor toxins, naturally present in plants, and spent energy processing materials that offered less nutritional density than cooked alternatives. And they did it by choice. Zorp thought about the implications. If something as basic as their digestive process was a mystery, what else about humans was operating on principles the Glaxian Federation didn't understand? Did their strange diet hint at an equally strange psychology? An unexpected toughness of body or mind? He initiated a secure transmission to Galactic High Command. Describing their findings felt almost absurd. Observation report. Designation Earth, species human. Note: rapid technological development, complex social structures, potential for space travel. Warning: species exhibits inexplicable biological function related to nutrient acquisition. Specifically, widespread, voluntary consumption of unprocessed raw plant matter, with no logical biological explanation for lack of adverse effects or apparent benefit according to established galactic biological models. He paused, considering. He added, "Recommend further, cautious study. Humanity's ability to function, and apparently thrive, while engaging in biologically inexplicable behaviors, suggests an unpredictable element to their nature." The response from High Command was immediate, though brief. A single question. Clarify unprocessed, raw plant matter. Zorp sighed internally. He knew they wouldn't believe it without extensive data. He instructed Vreek to prepare a comprehensive report, including all the failed analyses and contradictory findings. This one strange eating habit was going to baffle the entire galaxy. The message from Commander Zorp reached the central core of the Glaxian Federation's data network, then quickly spread to interconnected species across the galaxy. Most reports about new Class 3 civilizations were standard, notes on technology, social structures, resource use. Interesting, but rarely surprising. This one was different. Across star systems, beings with varied forms and functions paused their complex tasks. The scientist class, beings who had dedicated lifetimes to understanding the intricate tapestry of galactic biology, were the first to react. A multi-limbed facilitator on the crystalline world of Kethar reviewed the report. Consumption of uncooked flora, voluntarily? This data must be corrupted. They ordered a cross-check, running the Galaxians' biological scans and plant analyses through their own vast databases. The databases, which contained biological information on thousands of known species, found no match, no precedent for this level of tolerance in an intelligent, soft-bodied species. The data appeared correct, yet impossible. On the silicon plains of Xylar, an elder archivist whose consciousness was linked to millennia of recorded knowledge accessed the report. They eat raw leaves and do not immediately enter organ failure protocols. Query: is human perhaps a designation for a geological process, not a life form? The system confirmed human was indeed classified as the dominant biological entity on Earth. The archivist projected a wave of pure confusion. Debate sparked on interstellar communication channels. Was this a new form of biology? A trick? Were the Galaxians misinterpreting something fundamental? Experts from species known for their incredible resilience or unique digestive systems weighed in. The sturdy Argak, who could digest almost anything after a complex multi-day process, found the idea of just eating a raw leaf instantly baffling. The delicate Lumin, who survived on light and purified energy, couldn't even imagine putting such rough, unprocessed matter into a biological system. The collective scientific minds of the galaxy, who had solved mysteries of space-time and the origins of life, were stumped by a human eating a handful of berries or a cucumber. It was too simple, too illogical, according to the established rules. Commander Zorp's observation post suddenly became a point of intense galactic interest. Requests for more data flooded in. Queries about the humans' salad and fruit consumption became more numerous and urgent than questions about their nuclear capabilities or space program. They want more information on the dietary habits, Commander, Freak reported, his voice a mix of exhaustion and bewildered amusement. The Unified Galactic Science Council has convened an emergency session. Topic: the human anomaly of raw plant ingestion. Plorov rumbled, a sound that might have been amusement or deep confusion. They fear our weapons less than our eating habits? It seemed so. Humanity wasn't just another developing species. They were a species that broke the established rules of biology with something as simple as their lunch. It was unsettling. It was fascinating. And for the galaxy that thought it had seen everything, it was utterly, profoundly baffling. The humans, in their simple, strange way, had become the most interesting mystery in the cosmos. Back on the observation post, Commander Zorp's team was overwhelmed with requests for more information. It wasn't enough to say humans ate raw plants. The galaxy wanted to know how. Lieutenant Vreek was working tirelessly, directing the probes to collect more samples, running complex simulations, and cross-referencing data with biological experts from dozens of allied species. The Jorakians, known for their incredibly tough digestive systems, analyzed the fiber content, Vreek reported, his skin a dull, tired grey. They say it should act like tiny sharp blades in a soft digestive tract, like the humans if not properly broken down. Yet, human medical scans show no significant internal damage from regular consumption. Plorov rumbled, perhaps a protective lining? We scanned for that, Vreek sighed. Nothing unusual. Standard mucosal lining, not thick enough to handle constant abrasion from undigested plant fibers. Next, the scientists from the watery world of Aquos, masters of biological chemistry, analyzed the plant toxins. They identified several compounds that, while not immediately lethal in the small amounts found in common human foods, should build up over time or cause chronic issues in a standard Class 3 biology. "Their analysis is complete," Vreek said, sounding more confused than ever. "The compounds are present. The human body does process them, but somehow neutralizes them or removes them with surprising efficiency. There's no unique organ, no special symbiotic organism we can detect that explains the level of tolerance." Simulations were run. Digital models of the human digestive system were created, fed virtual raw plants based on the collected data and subjected to various conditions. Every simulation predicted discomfort, inefficiency, or mild toxicity. The models simply could not replicate the apparent reality of humans eating salads without issue. "It's like their biology is just ignoring the rules," Vreek said, shaking his head fins. "Our most advanced biological simulation matrix, which can accurately model the digestive processes of 1,000 known species simultaneously, just keeps producing error messages when we input the human raw plant scenario." Commander Zorp watched footage of a human family having a meal. A young human child, barely a tenth of the species' average lifespan, was happily chewing on a piece of raw broccoli. No sign of distress, just simple consumption. It was so ordinary to them, and so utterly extraordinary to the galaxy watching. The mystery wasn't just scientific anymore, it was philosophical. Did humanity possess some unknown biological principle? Were they hiding something? Or were they simply different in a way the structured, logical universe wasn't prepared for? The reports back to High Command were becoming less about scientific findings and more about summarizing the continued lack of understanding. Despite extensive analysis, the mechanism by which humans tolerate and apparently benefit from ingesting unprocessed plant matter remains unknown. It defies current galactic biological theory. The humans, with their messy cities and their emotional complexities and their bizarre, inexplicable diet, were proving to be far more alien than any tentacled, multi-eyed creature the Galaxians had ever encountered among the stars. Their most basic habits were the biggest mystery. Days turned into cycles, then cycles into localized time units the humans called weeks. The observation post continued its work, monitoring Earth, but a fundamental shift had occurred. The focus had moved from understanding human technology or society to understanding the human weirdness, and the pinnacle of that weirdness remained the raw plants. Commander Zorp gathered his crew. Lieutenant Vreek's skin had settled into a permanent state of thoughtful blue-gray. Plorf rumbled patiently. "We have exhausted all current biological, chemical, and physical explanations," Zorp stated, his voice calm but firm. "Galactic databases offer no parallels. Simulations fail to replicate the observed reality. The conclusion is clear. The human ability to consume and process unprocessed plant matter, commonly referred to as salads, fruits, and vegetables, is, by our current understanding, inexplicable." Vreek nodded solemnly. "Every line of inquiry leads back to the same point. It shouldn't work the way it does, but it does work. Their bodies are doing something we cannot detect or understand with our most advanced tools." "It is an anomaly," Plorf rumbled, the word itself seeming strange in his deep voice. "Precisely," Zorp agreed. "A human anomaly. This changes our assessment of the species. They are not simply another civilization following a predictable path of development. They possess a trait, a fundamental aspect of their biology or interaction with their environment that sets them apart in a way we did not anticipate. This simple dietary habit, so common and unremarkable to humans, had become a symbol to the galaxy. It represented an unknown factor. If humans could defy known biological rules in such a basic way, what else were they capable of? Were they tougher than they looked? more adaptable than any other species, or simply illogical on a level no one had prepared for. The final report being compiled for Galactic High Command was different from any other initial species assessment. It still detailed their cities, their technology, their communication methods. But prominently featured, under a section titled Unexplained Biological Functions, was the detailed and utterly baffling account of their diet. Humans willingly ingest raw biological material from their planet's flora. Analysis shows this material contains tough fibers and naturally occurring compounds, typically requiring complex processing or causing adverse reactions in similar biologies. Human digestive systems appear standard for their biological class, with no detectable unique organs or symbiotic life forms explaining the observed tolerance. Simulations based on known biological principles universally predict inefficiency or negative health outcomes from this behavior. Despite this, humans consume these materials regularly, in large quantities, and appear to suffer no ill effects. Indeed, their own data suggests health benefits. Conclusion: the mechanism allowing humans to tolerate and benefit from raw plant ingestion is unknown and defies current galactic biological understanding. It was a simple, stark summary of a profound mystery. The species that was building star drives was also casually eating weeds, and the galaxy's scientists had no idea how. This wasn't just an observation, it was a redefinition of humanity, seen through alien eyes. They were the species that ate salad, and that was the strangest, most impressive, most baffling thing of all. The observation cycle for Earth was nearing its end. Commander Zorp and his crew had gathered vast amounts of data, detailing everything from human power grids to their artistic expressions. But the one piece of data that stood out, the one that was discussed in hushed tones across galactic science networks, was the human anomaly. Lieutenant Vreek finalized the comprehensive report. Page after page detailed the baffling findings on human dietary habits. High Command had sent follow-up queries, suggested alternative analyses, even proposed wild theories involving undiscovered energy fields or micro-dimensional pockets within human stomachs. All had led nowhere. The simple truth remained: humans ate raw plants, and galactic science couldn't explain it. "The report is ready for transmission, Commander," Vreek announced, his skin a soft final blue. "Including the addendum on the inexplicable biological anomaly, raw plant ingestion." Zorp looked at the main screen one last time, observing a park where humans were enjoying a sunny cycle. Some were engaged in complex social games, others were reading from portable datapads, and many were eating. Brightly colored berries from small containers, large green salads from bowls, crisp carrots held in their hands. So normal for them, so profoundly strange to him. "Transmit it," Zorp ordered. "Let the galaxy ponder the mystery." Plorf rumbled, his deep voice resonating with a sense of the profound. "They build wonders of metal and light, they dream of touching the stars, and they consume the unprocessed ground growers. It does not fit." "Perhaps that is the point, Plorf," Zorp mused. "Perhaps humanity does not fit. They are not like the logical, predictable species who optimize every aspect of their survival. They are resilient in ways we didn't measure, tough in ways our scans don't show. They endure the inefficient and the potentially harmful, and somehow turn it into sustenance. This wasn't just about a weird diet. It was about a species that seemed to operate on slightly different rules. Rules the galaxy hadn't encountered before. Their ability to eat raw plants became a symbol of their overall nature, a mix of advanced capability and fundamental, inexplicable resilience. The report was sent. Across thousands of light years, advanced civilizations received the data on humanity. They saw the cities, the ships, the energy signatures, but they also saw the section on the human anomaly, the accompanying visual data showing humans happily eating things that should, by all rights, cause them pain or no benefit, caused widespread scientific consternation. The humans, the newcomers, were not just another entry in the galactic census. They were the ones who ate the weeds. They were the biological mystery. And as the observation post prepared to disengage and move to its next assignment, Commander Zorp knew that humanity's reputation in the galaxy was already sealed, defined not just by their rising technology, but by the simple, baffling, and utterly inexplicable act of eating a salad. The report from Observation Post 7, detailing the human anomaly, quickly became the most debated topic in galactic scientific circles. Forget the potential for new energy sources or faster-than-light travel. The urgent question was, how do they eat the leaves? On the great orbital platforms where the Unified Galactic Science Council met, holographic projections of kale, broccoli, and apples filled the chamber, causing murmurs of disbelief among the assembled delegates from 100 species. "The data is verified?" asked a representative from the insectoid Cathar Republic, their multiple eyes blinking in rapid succession. "They are intentionally ingesting raw, fibrous plant matter, without predigestion, without enzymatic baths, without cooking." A Galaxian delegate, sleek and composed, projected the findings again. "Confirmed. Extensive analysis has yielded no biological explanation according to standard galactic models. Their digestive systems appear incapable, yet they consume these materials regularly, seemingly without harm, and potentially with benefit." A being from the crystalline consciousness known as the Sirkar pulsed with disbelief. "Benefit from consuming raw biomass? It violates principles of metabolic efficiency. Energy input must exceed energy expenditure. Breaking down such material should require immense effort for their biological type." "Precisely the anomaly," the Galaxian delegate stated. "Their energy extraction from this material appears minimal in simulations, yet they continue the behavior. It suggests either an unknown biological process or a cultural drive that overrides basic survival logic." Debate raged. Theories were proposed, each more improbable than the last. Could the planet Earth itself be unique, somehow altering the properties of its flora? Could human saliva contain unknown breakdown agents? Was it a shared delusion, a strange psychological phenomenon on a planetary scale? Species known for their advanced medical knowledge offered insights, but none could solve the puzzle. The Phalon, renowned healers, studied the human digestive scans, baffled by the lack of irritation or damage they expected to see. The Chronosians, who studied the flow of time and evolution, found no evidence in humanity's history of a gradual biological adaptation that could explain this. It wasn't just scientists who were concerned. Strategic planners took note. A species that could withstand consuming materials that would harm others, a species whose basic biology defied understanding, was an unpredictable element. Were they secretly tougher than their physical appearance suggested? Did this strange resilience extend to other areas? The simple act of a human eating a handful of nuts or a bite of a raw pepper was now seen through a new lens, a lens of galactic bafflement. Humanity was no longer just the species from Earth with nascent FTL. They were the humans, the ones who eat the raw plants. And that simple, inexplicable fact made them one of the most fascinating and slightly unnerving species the galaxy had encountered in a long time. Months turned into Earth years. The mystery of the human diet didn't fade, it deepened. Special research divisions were created across the galaxy, dedicated solely to the human ingestion anomaly. Scientists who had once studied black holes or exotic energy forms now found themselves staring at detailed scans of human intestines and chemical compositions of broccoli. The most advanced biological probes were sent to Earth, disguised as natural dust or tiny meteoroids. They collected more samples, ran more on-site analyses, and beamed the data back to eager researchers. They confirmed Commander Zorp's initial report and Lieutenant Vreek's detailed findings. Everything pointed to the same baffling conclusion. Humans should not be able to eat these raw plants without significant difficulty, yet they did. Alien biologists proposed new theories. Maybe Earth plants had some unique, undiscovered property triggered by the specific conditions of the planet. Researchers on artificial habitats tried growing Earth plants under controlled conditions and feeding them to biological simulators designed to mimic human digestion based on available data. The simulators reacted exactly as predicted, poorly. The raw plants seemed to need the specific, baffling context of a living human body on Earth. Perhaps it was something in the Earth's atmosphere, or its specific mix of gravity and magnetic field that somehow preconditioned the plants or subtly altered human biology. Tests were conducted, replicating Earth's environmental factors in sealed lab environments. Still, no explanation emerged. The classification of humanity within the Galactic Federation's databases became complicated. They were intelligent, tool users, space-capable, but also biologically anomalous. Standard biological risk assessments, which considered diet as a key factor in species interaction to avoid accidental poisoning or resource conflicts, couldn't accurately categorize humans. They were a Class 3 civilization with class unknown biological resilience. Interstellar cultural exchange officers, trained to understand the customs and rituals of new species, found themselves tasked with documenting not just human art or social structures, but the bewildering array of salads, smoothies, and fruit platters. They watched in fascination and confusion as humans happily consumed mixtures of raw ingredients that, to the alien observers, looked like a dangerous biological gamble. The simple act of sharing a meal was fundamental to understanding many species. With humans, their most basic meals presented an unsolvable riddle. How could you truly understand the intentions or capabilities of a species whose fundamental relationship with acquiring energy defied all known logic? The mystery wasn't frightening in an aggressive sense. Humans weren't weaponizing their weird diet. It was unsettling in a deeper way. It showed the galaxy that despite their vast knowledge, life could still hold simple, profound secrets, and that the most complex mysteries might be found not in the stars, but in the everyday habits of a species from a small blue planet, the species that just really liked eating its vegetables, raw. Generations passed. Humanity eventually did develop faster-than-light travel and took their first tentative steps out into the wider galaxy, a place that already knew them, not just for their technology, but for their baffling biology. When young Glaxianlings learned about the diverse species of the galaxy, alongside lessons on the gas giants of Xylar or the crystalline cities of Kithar, they learned about Earth and its dominant species, the humans, and they learned about the human anomaly. Holographic lessons would show images of humans eating, often focusing on vibrant plates of salads or bowls overflowing with colorful fruits. The narrator's voice, calm and factual, would explain the findings of Observation Post 7 and the subsequent galactic research. Despite possessing a digestive system similar to many Class 3 mammals, the lesson would state, humans regularly consume raw, unprocessed plant matter containing significant fiber and natural compounds. Galactic science has, to this cycle, been unable to fully explain how they achieve this without predicted negative health effects and even appear to gain benefit. It became a standard example in biological textbooks, the human diet, a puzzle that the galaxy's most brilliant minds couldn't solve. It was a reminder that even with advanced technology and vast knowledge, the universe still held mysteries in the most unexpected places. Diplomats from other species, meeting humans for the first time, would often discreetly observe their eating habits, a mix of scientific curiosity and lingering bafflement in their alien eyes. Humans, used to it, rarely noticed the quiet astonishment caused by them simply biting into an apple or enjoying a fresh salad during a diplomatic dinner. The human anomaly didn't make humans feared or shunned. Instead, it made them fascinating. They were the species whose basic biology didn't play by the known rules. They were the symbol of the universe's ability to surprise, the living proof that life could find ways to endure and even thrive that defied logical explanation. Commander Zorp, long retired to a quiet life of data analysis, would sometimes revisit the old reports from Observation Post 7. He would look at the images of humans, so busy building their world, raising their young, and casually engaging in their inexplicable dietary habits. He had gone to Earth expecting to document a developing civilization. He had found a biological riddle wrapped in a technological enigma. The humans were strong, creative, and complex. But above all, they were the ones who ate the leaves. And that simple, strange fact, more than any starship or supercomputer, was their most unique and baffling characteristic in the eyes of the galaxy. The mystery of the salad remained, a quiet, enduring testament to the unexpected nature of humanity. Centuries after humanity joined the galactic community, the human anomaly remained a hot topic in universities and research centers across the stars. It wasn't just a biological curiosity. It was a case study in the limits of galactic science and the unpredictable nature of life itself. In advanced biology classes, students would be presented with the data on human digestion and plant matter, then asked to propose theories. The answers were endless and complex, involving possible undiscovered organ functions, micro-symbiotic relationships beyond current detection, or even localized reality distortions around Earth-origin life forms. But none held up under rigorous testing. The simplest explanation, humans just ate raw plants without a complex how that fit the rules, remained the official, baffling conclusion. Xenopsychologists who studied the minds of alien species tried to link the diet to human behavior. Did this strange biological resilience contribute to their sometimes illogical decisions, or their surprising ability to adapt to difficult situations? Was there a connection between a body that defied digestive norms and a mind that produced both incredible beauty and startling violence? These were complex questions with no easy answers, but the raw food habit was always part of the discussion. In bustling interstellar trade hubs, where different species exchanged goods and culture, human food stalls were often places of quiet alien observation. Beings who consumed processed energy gels or carefully synthesized nutrient blocks watched, fascinated, as humans bit into crunchy raw vegetables or peeled vibrant fruits with their bare hands. Sometimes, a brave or overly curious alien would attempt to sample a human raw food item, usually resulting in immediate, predictable digestive distress, much to the renewed bafflement of those around them who had expected some insight into the human trick. There was no trick, just the inexplicable human biology at work. The fact that humans themselves didn't see it as strange was perhaps the strangest part. They had millennia of history with these foods. To them, it was just eating. This lack of awareness about their own biological anomaly further deepened the mystery for the galaxy. Were they truly ignorant of how unusual they were, or was it just so fundamental to their being that it didn't warrant comment? The Galaxian Federation, as the first to officially report the anomaly, held a certain quiet prestige in scientific circles. Commander Zorp's initial report was archived as a historical document, the first official galactic acknowledgement of the human anomaly. Lieutenant Vreek's detailed biological analyses were still studied, even if their conclusions were simply data confirmed, understanding absent. The humans, with their starships and their art and their endless chatter, remained a species of great interest. But the underlying layer of mystery, the fundamental strangeness that science couldn't explain, always came back to the simple, everyday act of them eating a salad. It was their quiet superpower, their unintentional act of biological defiance, and the source of the galaxy's enduring, profound bafflement. So the humans took their place among the stars, building alliances, exploring new worlds, and sharing their unique culture. They brought their music, their stories, their complex ideas, and their confusing ability to eat raw plants. The mystery never was solved. Despite countless research cycles, advanced probes, and collaborative efforts from the galaxy's leading scientific minds, the simple how and why of humans and their uncooked plants remained elusive. It wasn't a hidden technology, not a secret organ, not a planetary energy field. It was just humans, doing what humans did, eating a carrot stick or a handful of grapes as if it were the most natural thing in the universe. In a galaxy that had decoded the language of pulsars and charted the currents of nebulae, the everyday diet of a human remained a biological riddle. It was a constant, quiet reminder to the other species that for all their knowledge, the universe and the life within it held depths they had not yet even begun to understand. The human anomaly became a legend, a cautionary tale in scientific circles about the dangers of assuming you knew everything. It was a source of endless fascination, a symbol of humanity's strange, unpredictable toughness. They could survive on a planet that threw storms and quakes at them, build machines that touched the void, and somehow, magically, healthily, digest things that should, by all logic, cause them serious problems. From the distant, logical perspectives of the Galaxian Federation and the countless species they represented, humanity would forever be the species that ate salad. Not the warriors, not the builders, not the artists, but the ones who cheerfully, bafflingly, consumed raw leaves and fruits. It was the simplest thing about them, and the most alien, and in that enduring mystery lay a quiet, unintentional testament to the unique, baffling, and resilient nature of being human.